What is up, party people? How's everyone doing today? It is your boy, the man with the thick neck, the throat goat, Trader Mayne, back for another episode of the order book. I don't even know what number we're on at this point. We're just back in the rhythm. Party people. We're just cruising, okay? We're just cruising. So feels good to be back. Excited for another stream. As always, I got my man Cody in the chat. So if you have questions, he will make sure to highlight them for me. And I'll do my best to answer ones that make sense to answer. But this is the order book. This is the new streams, as you guys know. So we're going to be going over some charts. We're going to be going over some current events. We're going to be doing a little bit of gambling, a little bit of sports betting and whatnot. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as always, we'll be answering your guys' questions as we go. Real quick, guys, I want you to go over and make sure you're following the order book on both Twitter and Instagram. We're posting on there quite often, clips from the show, little educational tidbits. So make sure to give those a follow. We got to get this up from 84, guys. This is abysmal. There's usually 400 to 500 people watching the show. Let's get 400 to 500 people following on Instagram. We're almost at 2K on Twitter. So let's cook, guys. Let's talk about the markets because a lot has happened, okay? Oil prices going up, okay? The Strait of Hormuz. Who knows what the fuck's going on? FOMC tomorrow. 99.9% of people expecting 0 rate cuts. The market, it's bouncing. It's moving up a little bit. So we're going to talk about the charts first. As always, I'll take some chart requests after I kind of go through the big ones. But really, I'm just going to reiterate what we talked about on YouTube yesterday, okay? Because we talked about what was going on YouTube yesterday. The move up is something we were expecting, right? So this move on Bitcoin, it's awesome. We're trading above the range highs right now. And I actually think that this gives us a very straightforward and easy trade setup to focus on because it's the kind of break out of the range, break back into the range type of play that I love. And it's one that I talk about with you guys all the time, okay? So I know sentiment wise, right? I've talked about this before. Hey, sentiment feels kind of same to here. Maybe it is. Maybe there are similarities between this and this. I don't know yet. But what I talked about up here applies the same down here. If this breakout is legit, any sort of pullback, right, needs to stick, and then we need to see another leg higher. It's that simple. We did not get that up here. We broke out. Remember the trend line we had? We pulled back. We retested what should be support. It didn't end up working as support. In fact, this area that we wanted to see act as support, right, this kind of breaker block here, ended up being resistance. So the breakout did not stick, right? It didn't stick. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at the same thing. You've got your range. You've got your area of demand. In my opinion, it's this. You could argue maybe it's this, but it's kind of the same zone here. Any sort of pullback into here, whether that retest has just happened or it's going to diddle around here a little more, this needs to hold. Just like this trend line, right, that we've talked about needs to hold. We had a brief little dip below, it got back above. So if you're a bull, you have a very easy invalidation, right? If we start trading back below the range highs, if we lose this trend line, we're going to 60K and lower. Until then, we can be cautiously optimistic and we can assume that this is a breakout that's legit and we can look for prices to trade higher. What are those higher price levels that I'm looking at? I gave you guys these on Twitter, but I'm just taking my fib from the high to the low on the 3-day chart. If you add in your 618, your 78.6, and your sweet spot, inverse this thing, okay? This is where that pullback could happen. I also really like that we have some confluence here in the form of this old low and this breaker over here. So if you go out to like the weekly, you guys remember this breaker? This is actually the breaker that we used, right? To take the long here, the 80K, right? We use this breaker on the weekly chart. So there's a lot of confluence there of this breaker, this old price floor here, right? And the fib retracement. I like, if this breakout is legit, for this area to be potentials points where price could be drawn to, maybe reverse, I don't know, right? So 80K. And then if we break through 80K, I like back up into this old price floor, which is right around kind of like 85, 86,000. And if this thing is really, really strong, we could see 90K. And what I'm showing you here with the fib really is that this can bounce all the way up like this and then still put in a lower high. Okay? Just like this low came all the way down here. A lot of people were clenching their butt cheeks, calling for a bear market. The top is in, it's over, and it was just a really deep retrace before continuation to the upside. The exact same thing can happen here. We can have a really strong pump and then still go lower. And so I wrote this big tweet yesterday saying, hey guys, like, these are the things that look great right now. If we're able to stick this breakout, right, looks good for higher. We want it to look different than this. We don't want it to fail. We definitely don't want it to do what we did like back here, right? Same thing, broke above, failed to hold the breakout, went lower. Same thing here, right? There's a lot of similarities, to be honest with you, between this and this. Okay, this is a bear market right after a high. We get into February. We have Russia and Ukraine kick off. Market bounces from the lows to the highs almost 50%. 4 years later, almost like the 4-year cycle is something you should focus on. We have Iran and the USA. We're in a bear market. Price is currently bounced 25% off the lows. It could very well go 40, 50% and still end up being a lower high like back here. So there's a lot of similarities price-wise. You could even consider some similarities to back here. We won't go that far. We won't go that deep in this video. We'll save that for another one. But if this breakout's legit, it's going to go higher. Very simple to trade at this point in time, in my opinion. It just needs to stick this breakout. Do not retrace back within the range. And if it comes back within the range, it needs to find support and push higher. Where is that higher? I think ultimately 80K is kind of those nice little equal highs right there. That would be the next target, assuming this breakout sticks. Okay? So I'm optimistic. I want this breakout to stick. I want things to go up. We've seen altcoins. Fartcoin went up a bunch. We're seeing all sorts of altcoins go up a bunch. Hype went up, that we talked about looking like a good setup last stream. All of these things, I want them to continue. Twitter is a better place when the number is going up, because Twitter's shitty in general, but it's slightly less shitty when the number is going up, okay? So that's kind of the short-term plan. Now, why I believe we still likely head lower overall, I think that this quagmire that we're finding ourselves in the Middle East is going to drag on, likely longer than people expect. I don't think the stock market has actually had its correction yet. I'm still in that stock market, ES, right? US 500 short, as you guys know, we took it here, we shared it all live. I don't believe that this is the bottom yet. I am happy for this to be a bounce. It's more of a how high does this bounce go, which is exactly what I said here. I thought this bounce was going to go to 110. It only went to 98, and I ended up not selling all of my spot because of that. It's frustrating. So I'm the happiest little clam in the world, because if we trade lower, I get to buy more cheap. And if this is the bottom and we go back to all-time high, well, then I still have spot that I didn't sell. I can look to offload that as we get higher, and I can look to re-add as we reclaim market structure. Because at the end of the day, one of the mistakes that I made at the top, October 2024, we were right here, okay? I posted a big Twitter post saying, if we lose structure on the 3-day, if we lose structure on the weekly, if we have a weekly SFP, a monthly SFP, these are signs that the top is in, purely based on price action. I said you can't fall into the hype, all of that stuff online. You got to ignore sentiment. This time's not different. It's always the same. And what happened? We had the weekly SFP. We had the weekly structure break. We had the 3-day structure break. Okay, we had a monthly SFP. Price action was telling me that the top is in, and I didn't listen. So I'm not going to make that same mistake again. If the bottom is in, I will know because price action will tell me so. The bottom was in here when we broke weekly structure. There's your shift right there. There's confirmation the bottom is in. We made a lower low, flipped it, that became a breaker. That's confirmation that the bottom is in. Yeah, you didn't catch the Pico bottom. It's actually up 50%, but do you care if you bought at 20 to 30K? This is where we bought. If you follow me on Telegram or Twitter, I was buying here. I said, guys, we shifted structure. It's bullish. Well, guess what? If this thing's going to shift bullish, we're going to have to see some bullish market structure. And unfortunately, there is zero high time frame bullish market structure until we get back above there. Now, could you argue that back above 80, things look a lot better? For sure. Invalidation down there. You're bullish on a reclaim of this. It looks like an inverse head shoulders. Sure. But from a pure price action perspective, there's no higher high. There's no shift in market structure until we get above almost 100K. Now, that can change on the lower time frames, right? It's down at 90 on the daily. The daily lower high is at 90K, right? The 4-hour lower high is, I think here, 80K, right? So there's lower time frame shifts will happen first, but I want to see some high time frame actual changes in structure from the bulls. And you got to realize that the monthly just flipped bearish. I talked about it back here. Once the monthly flipped bearish, we still had several months and another 30 to 40% of downside before the bottom was in. The monthly just flipped bearish. We had 5 red months in a row. I said we're due for some relief, but there's a lot of similarities to what we have here. And this thing can bounce high as fuck and still end up putting in a lower high. So I want us to go up. I hope we continue to trade higher. But for now, my prognosis is we ultimately are going to end, whether it's from here or from higher, in a lower high, and that the bottom is not in yet, and that I'm looking for a bottom later this year. That's my opinion. I may be wrong, but I have clear levels of invalidation. If the bulls are legit, let's start reclaiming some levels. Get back above this price floor. Get back above this price floor. Shift market structure above here. Bull market might be back on, or the bear market might already be over. But until then, I'm cautious that any bounce is just going to end up like this, and just be a lower high. But we'll wait and see. And on top of all of that, go look at the people who are getting all hyped up right now. Okay? A lot of people getting hyped up about the market being bullish. We're breaking out. It's time to flip long. The bottom's in. Where were those people when your boy, the throat goat, was longing the range lows multiple times with you guys on stream publicly, longing the Iran Shah assassination, higher low? We posted all of this, Telegram, Twitter, we did it in YouTube, and now that we're at the range highs and we're up 20% off the lows, everyone else is getting on board. So we have the fortunate situation in which we were bullish near the lows. That allows us to be more cautious as price goes higher. A lot of people who were extremely bearish down here, which is, I think, the vast majority of people who are piling into longs now, they need price to go really high because they just fucking longed at 74K or 72K. They need it to go way up. We were longing in the low 60s. Okay, so we can be a lot more cautious and play the chart as it continues to present itself to us. So that's kind of my high time frame, low time frame thoughts on Bitcoin. Low time frame, just real quick summary. I want to see this stick as a breakout and then trade up towards, high 70s into the 80s as a temporary target, assuming that this breakout's legit. If we fall back within the range like we did here, right? If we fall back within the range, then it starts to look quite ugly in my opinion, and new low is coming. Something we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. We have FOMC tomorrow. Bitcoin typically has kind of used FOMC as a sell the news event, regardless of what's happened with rates. So that's something to track, something to pay attention to. So that's Bitcoin, guys. We're going to look at ETH. We're going to look at Solana. We're going to look at Hyperliquid. We're going to look at the S&P 500. We'll take a very quick look at the dollar, and then we'll take some chart requests. So I'm going to try and blow through all of those, but real quick, I want to give a shout out to Kraken Pro. As you guys can see here, I'm doing all my charting on Kraken Pro, the only centralized exchange that I trust. And their charting terminal is great. It's modern, UI is solid, and they bought your boy's company. Look, I got you think I paid for this merch? No, they bought my company and then they sent me the merch. I'm winning twice. Okay, I simply cannot lose. All right, guys, everyone copacetic. Let me know in the chat if the game plan for Bitcoin makes sense. I tried to lay it out super clean, super logical. You have clear levels of invalidation, clear levels of where we get excited. You know the high time frame plan. This is the low time frame plan. Let me know if you have any questions on that, okay? The 1099 DAs are coming out. I was told they just got sent out. We'll talk about that too. Young Adolf Hitler wants to know if the Iran war bad news is priced in already. I think part of it, yeah. Part of the thesis I had for longing here was, okay, we knew they're going in there and they're trying to kill this guy. So once he's dead, and there's confirmation of that, the market should probably go up. So I do think there's an element of the wars, the negative news of the war being priced in. But I don't think things that are priced in are potential future escalations, boots on the ground, right? That would be crazy. First time USA's done boots on the ground in the Middle East since, what, I don't know, Iraq? Long time. So that would be bad. But I do think that that is something to monitor, right? We got to monitor the situation. If there's further escalations in the area, more attacks on those Gulf coastal countries, those are the types of things that we want to be aware of. We want to continue to monitor. But great question from young Adolf Hitler, soon to be adult Adolf Hitler. And then at that point, gotta go in Minecraft, of course. All right, guys, let's go over ETH and then Solana here real quick. So ETH playing a bit of the leader, right? Playing a bit of the leader. It broke out first, right? And this is a much stronger looking breakout than what we have on Bitcoin. Clear break above. Similar to Bitcoin, though, if we do get any sort of retest here, you need that shit to hold. And then where's the target on ETH? It's up here, 2,800, right? This former price floor where price broke down from, bang, boom, how's your mother? This is where you target, I think, these prior levels here. And if we zoom out on ETH, it's going to line up very nicely with the fibs and with the POIs here, right? So pull from your high to your low. There's 2,800 right there. We're right in that sweet spot. And then we obviously have the big order block here near the top. You could argue this order block even. So this is where my draw on liquidity is for ETH, assuming the breakout can stick. So if this is bullish, any sort of retest should hold, and then we should look to see price trade up towards 2,800. Initially, I'd say 2,570, right? This wick and this 50% level there. But then ultimately, I think 27, 28, 2,900. Very reasonable potential upside bounce on ETH, assuming these breakouts hold across the board. Okay, high time frame plan for ETH, same as Bitcoin. I personally don't think the bottom's in on Bitcoin yet. So therefore, ETH is going to zero. What is this? Look at that. Same thing here, right? Solana, these are all the same charts. Pick your poison. As you guys know, I like to trade Bitcoin. But if you go from your high to your low here, you've got your order block. 120 to 130, I think, is the draw on Sol back into this lower consolidation. All of that hinging, of course, upon this breakout being legit. So we're breaking out of the range here. Any sort of pullback here needs to hold. Target 108, right? Target 120. If we fail to hold this breakout, get back within the range, lose this uptrending structure, new lows. Simple, okay? Up or down, bro, is quite literally how trading works. But right now, right, this is a perfect example of, yes, I'm giving you an up scenario and a down scenario. Right now, the bullish scenario is in play. The down scenario is one, an invalidation for the long scenario, and two, it's an opportunity to short, right? So when people are like, well, we're either going to do this, right, or we're going to do this, and they go, oh, well, you just said both directions. This is kind of right? Like, that's kind of retarded. But if what I'm saying hopefully makes sense here, I think you remain bullish on any sort of pullback here up to here, let's say, okay? So if you're not long, maybe you take a long now. Maybe you wait for a little bit of a pullback into, sub 90, and then you long. The up or down part of it is, okay, I can remain bullish so long as we maintain this breakout. But if I take a long here and then we break down this, you need to, at the very least, close your longs. And then if you desire, you could short, stop above there, because that would be your deviation, target there. So I'm quite literally giving you a trade idea that is active, that you could take right now or try and fine tune an entry. Then I'm giving you where it's wrong and how you could flip short if you want to. Okay, this is exactly how I make all of my decisions with trading. I look for levels of interest. I see what price does at those levels. And I, most importantly, always have an invalidation. No drawings on the chart. No tweets anyone sends out. I'm bullish Bitcoin. And then it goes up and they go, fucking told you so. I'm bullish Bitcoin, right? All the time. Doesn't mean fucking shit. If someone's talking about real trading, like people who really do this, you can tell. Right? You can tell when I watch other people's videos. I check their tweets. I see their analysis. I can tell who's doing it and who's not. The people who are really doing it, they talk in terms of entry triggers, invalidations, where to flip their bias, areas where they want to do business, just broad statements about being a bull, and then price goes up and they go, I fucking told you. It's fucking meaningless. Where's your entry and why? Where's this idea wrong? That's actual actionable alpha. Okay, I said A 3 times in a row there. Actual actionable alpha. Say that 10 times fast. Okay? Not many people give it out like your fucking boy. Trust me, I've been on this trading internet shit for a long time. Most people full of shit. Your boy's been feeding you the juice for fucking goddamn going on 10 years now. And it won't be like this forever. I'm probably going to retire sometime in the next couple of years when I turn 50. Just coming up, right? 46 and a half right now. Be 47 soon. Once I retire, once I hang it up at 50, I don't know if anyone will do it like me. I really don't. I really don't. Like, I can't even explain to you the amount of people that have learned to trade by watching these streams over the years. So the fact that you're here now, absorb it. Inhale it. Become a sponge for the fucking alpha. All right, guys? Let's look at hype. I had some guy on Twitter today. He's like, Mayne always says up or down, bro. And then it goes down. And then he says, oh, blah, blah, blah. You know what I did? I blocked him. The first thing I did is I checked our DMs to see if he said anything embarrassing in my DMs, and now he's trying to talk shit on the timeline, because that's my number one go-to. If you talk shit to me on the timeline, you better fucking hope you've never been in my DMs asking for help, because I will put you on fucking blast. I'm the throat goat, okay? The neck god, but I'm the clout goblin. We know this. But most importantly, I am petty as a motherfucker. All right? Hype pushing up. I think Arthur's article, well-timed. We discussed this being a bullish setup. There's not a lot of history here, so I'm just going to pull it up here. We've talked about this being a bullish setup for a long time, right? This big sweep that we had at the lows. I was talking about this coin ages ago. big sweep at the lows here, right? And then the breaker. Boom, boom. I talked about how this is a crazy bullish high time frame setup. When we were down at 25, this is where Arthur filled. Price moved up $10. Now he's shilled. Now we're really pumping here. Obviously, great coin to be holding right now as the market continues to be bullish. The only thing I would be like aware of is seeing if the rest of the market's going to turn around, right? Is there other coins that haven't broken out yet? Because I feel like at this point, if you're not long hype from a decent entry, it feels like you're chasing. Like I have a hard time longing this structure. Doesn't mean you can't, right? You go low time frame, look for a low pullback like one of these, and you get in your trade. But high time frame, good amount of this move is like this 100% move almost, right? 25 to 40, 45 to 50, like that would be the 100% move up into those highs there. So that's kind of what I'm watching on hype here. If we get some consolidation above this old order block that's now potential support, this would be the next trade from 40s to about 50. That's what I see on hype, assuming the rest of the market doesn't shit the bed. Invalidation on this, I think very simply, is we shouldn't get back below here. If we get back below there, then I think we could come back and retest like the low 30s. So for now, I think hold above here, consolidate above 40. I think that becomes your target up there. It looks fucking good. What can I say? Is it going to 150? Eventually, probably, maybe. I don't know. Anything can happen. Is it going to go to 150? Well, I think the bottom's not even in for Bitcoin yet. I have my doubts, but hey, Yahtzee, as Arthur says, right? Let's quickly look at a couple other charts here, and I'll take some requests. As you guys know, we're short the S&P 500. A bounce and then a lower high is my expectation. I don't really have much else to update here. This thing could come back to my entry. I don't care. I'm not closing. I will hold this thing all the way to stop out. I think the most likely result is something like this and further downside going into April and May. I just don't think that this is over yet. And for me, this is broken significant structure on the weekly chart. So a bounce is expected, and then I'm expecting lower. So we'll see. If I'm wrong, I get stopped out. The bull run on equities continues, even though Bitcoin's already 50, 60% off the high. I think because this is probably bouncing right now, very low chance we get that rate cut tomorrow. But maybe in April, maybe once some more damage is done. As you guys know, I'm on that bet again already. Crude is the last thing I think I want to touch on. I touched on dollar really quickly yesterday. I said, hey, risk assets are looking interesting. Dollar's coming into resistance. So if this rotates down a little, that could be beneficial for those risk assets. Gold has been unable to reclaim this breaker so far. We talked about this a while ago. I said, if we get back above this breaker here, right? That's your upside trigger for gold. Until then, I don't really want a trade. So if this were to reverse from here and then do this, your stop is this, okay? You could long this here, stop down here. I'm personally more interested in the breakout trade, but if you want to long this thing, you know, now, as it comes into this demand here, ran out these lows, like this is not a horrible spot to do it, especially with the dollar coming into resistance here. This is probably a pretty nice long here. Swept out that low. That would be the kind of long now. Or you wait for the setup that I talked about here, which is that kind of breakout trade. So oil, you know, naturally, crypto Twitter, a bunch of oil experts. I gave you my whole diatribe on, you know, I'm retarded. So I know to stay away from this thing. And yes, we had a big move up. It pulled back a little bit. Everyone's talking about how thing's just going to continue to go higher. This is wheat. I'm like, what the fuck? This looks funny. We had the massive move up. Excuse me. I thought that, hey, maybe this is a fade. We don't know what's going on over there, how long this war is going to go on. We genuinely don't know. I talked about the long here off of that order block. I mean, we're just pushing. We're just grinding up here. Maybe we make one more high but like this is getting into lower high territory here. If it is going to be a lower high, this is lower high territory around here. So that's something to watch. But there's so much macro going on here. I'm too retarded, as you guys know, to look at this and to try and make a actual educated guess, because that's all trading is, educated guess. I don't feel like it would be an educated guess. It would be a guess. A lot of people are talking like, oh my God, I told you oil was going to go up and it went up. It's like, that's not a trade. Where'd you get in? Did you actually long it? Like, again, most of it's all bullshit. But by all means, if people are bullish oil and it goes up higher, good for you. I know where my skill set is. It's not here right now, okay? So that's all I got. Let's take some chart requests, guys. So Cody will be monitoring the chat. What is some stuff you guys want to look at here before we get into some news coverage? I'm running away from oil like Diddy's chasing me with the fucking bottle of it, buddy. No interest. Peep the H12 H1 short setup on BTC right now. My boy said, get short right now or you're poor. Am I crazy or I don't see an H12 SFP here, my friend? I don't see an H12 SFP anywhere. Are you sure? Where is the H12 SFP, good sir? Saying you're welcome. I'm telling you, I don't see the it did tag this bearish order block, sure, right? It's in this area of resistance here, but there's no H12 sweep, right? So there's no H1 sweep. There is an H1 MSB. Like you could argue this is what you're talking about here. Stop at the high, right? To me, this is just, we're into resistance. We've got a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. We've got structure break. You're just looking to short a lower high. We're going into FOMC tomorrow. Maybe you're correct, but maybe FOMC causes us to do this. And then we get the actual breakdown in terms of microstructure. But there's no sweeps anywhere here yet. But I see what you're saying. Okay, what are some chart requests? Okay, we've got Aster. We checked Aster last time, bro. And it looked like doo-doo. Why hold Aster when you can hold fucking Hyperliquid? It looked like doo-doo, but I will look at it for you again. I think I told you, if I remember correctly, I think I just said like draw a line like here, right? Like this. If we get above there, it looks good. So it's trying, dude. If it can flip this as support, I think it looks interesting for a long. It kind of looks like Hyperliquid a little bit. If Hyperliquid hadn't already broken out. Let's see. Hyperliquid should probably graduate out of my shitcoin folder. Like it's kind of like this setup, right? Where you have this consolidation, breakdown, move up, retest. It's kind of like that, right? Kind of consolidation, breakdown, move up, retest. Like maybe your argument is like this is the long. Like, and your stop goes below here. But yeah, it looks like it's attempting to break out. And if it can stick this breakout, I don't see why it can't go up to like 90 cents or at least here. But 90 cents would be kind of the draw. Silver. To me, silver and gold, right, trade similarly. Failed to get the breakout on silver here, right, that we wanted to see. So this is just back within the range. I think this is similar to gold in that, you know, if this is going to go up, we're kind of at that area where you'd want to see it hold. Kind of want to see it hold here. Maybe one more ditch down, but if this is going to continue, if this run is going to continue, it should hold pretty close to where we are. And then confluent with the dollar, right, coming into some resistance here, that would be a good look for gold and silver bulls. Okay, we'll look at Tesla. So my thought process on Tesla, this is a very old drawing, was that maybe we get a bounce from here up into this and it's a lower high and then it just continues lower. We just haven't had that move yet, right? It's just kind of diddled along down here further into this demand. I think the same thing applies here. I think this could bounce and then ultimately rug. And the top's already in, and we're just looking for a lower high. So I wouldn't actually change my analysis on Tesla here. The risk reward on this is just so good, right? It's so good to be a bear because if you can short anywhere up here, right, your invalidation is this super, super fucking tight. And if we make a new all-time high, you just go full bore bull long the breakout. So I would say my analysis on Tesla is the same. It just hasn't gotten that bounce yet. And it might not. It could just roll over from here. But seeing how equities are kind of perking up a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a move up on Tesla. It could be a 15+% move into a lower high. New breakout terminal. It goes live next week. I'm working on the walkthrough right now. I posted a screenshot of what it looks like. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, go live is hopefully Monday. And yeah, you'll see. I'll post it all over Twitter. Don't worry. Okay, we'll look at a couple more here real quick, guys. Hood. Real OG Mayne followers, real OGs. Remember when we publicly longed Hood at like 10 bucks? Okay. What a god. I had one guy tell me that this became his biggest trade in his retirement account and he just ate off it like crazy. I love hearing that. Listen, one of the counterpoints for like the equities market having this like recession and the stock market, excuse me, having this recession, even though there's so many alarm bells ringing, is some of these stocks are already so far off the highs, man. Right? But they can always go lower. So Hood, I don't know if I have anything for Hood, to be honest with you. It's consolidating. Found some support here. Swept out the lows here. With how the S&P 500 is looking, I think you could argue that, you know, if this little range, and if this little range can hold, it can break out. I think you can be a bull. I think you can be a bull on this thing, right? Looking at how the rest of the market looks, if we get that relief rally in stocks, if this is able to break out, invalidation is down there, you know, target up into here. But ultimately, I look at this thing on like the weekly, like down pretty bad. 3 days down pretty bad. It could come up to fucking here or here even. Nice little opportunity. No one talks about it. No one talks about the main long on Hood. They're always late. Mayne, much like FaZe Banks, always early. Always fucking early. Okay, we'll look at Coinbase, another coin that another company that your boy longed before everyone else way back here. But this has just not been doing much, right? I've had this demand zone mapped out forever. We've just taken that low again. Look what happened last time we took that low. Now we've taken the low that took that low. So go down to the weekly, a little too high time frame still. Man, my system just doesn't work as well low time frame on equities. It's really good for swings, but like, you know, my breaker is here, I guess, on the daily, but I don't really want that. I want something on a higher time frame because this is a monthly sweep. And there's just nothing here. But yeah, like big sweep. You can see the similarities, right? We took out this low, right? Consolidated, took the low out, traded higher, consolidated, legged up, consolidated, legged up. Kind of want to see the same thing here, right? Boom, took out the low. It's now moving up, consolidate, bang, right? Could play out similar to this price action wise. But yeah, I think, again, stock market potentially due for some relief. If that happens, you want to see, you know, you have an easy invalidation here. This is pretty far now at this point. But that would be your inval on longs because this is a monthly sweep. If you want something tighter, you got to go down, way down. Maybe you can start trailing your stop up below these lows. But looks interesting. All going to depend on what happens with equities. All right. I'm going to move on to some news now, guys. As always, shout out to Kraken for sponsoring the show. If you want to support your boy Mayne and you want the puppies, remember, I haven't forgotten about the puppies, to live, make sure you are using Kraken and sign up with your boy's link. It's below the video. It's in the description on YouTube. It's on my website. Doesn't cost you anything. And right now they're giving you guys an opportunity to win an entire Bitcoin. You could become a whole coiner. Kraken Bitcoin sweepstakes, win 1 Bitcoin. 20 million Bitcoin have been mined. It means there's only 1 million left to be mined. They're giving away 1 entire Bitcoin. That could be enough to get you into the Citadel. Every dollar that you trade from now until April 13th is an entry into the sweepstakes. First place is a Bitcoin. Second place is 10 grand. There will be 5 second place winners. And then there will be 100 people who win $100. $1 of volume is 1 entry. You do the math. Use my link below or the puppies are going to fucking get it. Okay? Shout out to Kraken. So I want to talk about copper. Okay? So copper, I miss my dog too. Why would you say that? Why would you bring up my dog right when I start talking about killing puppies? That's not very nice. Okay, copper. What's interesting about copper, guys, is it's a precious metal, right? And people are touting copper as the next gold, okay? And you can see why, right? So if I compare this, ooh, look at that. If I compare this, this is actually the very interesting NVIDIA fractal, or is it the Google fractal? Yeah, it's the Google fractal, see? This is like the last chance for the bull market, in my opinion, is we replay this like Google fractal on Bitcoin. I talked about this like 2 months ago. Anyways, back to copper and then to gold here. I love gold. People are saying copper is the next gold, right? And if I look at this on like the high time frame, you can kind of see some similarities, right? We're like, we broke out of a multi-year kind of high, right? And then just went absolutely postal, absolutely, vertical. So there's some similarities between copper and gold here. I think purely from a structural perspective, this looks like a high time frame breakout that we're seeing here, right? We were capped by this area for a solid amount of time here, right? finally broke through. We're attempting to get some time and space between this kind of $5 level, basically, right? And there's this added twist that copper is something that is extremely in demand right now due to the proliferation of these AI data centers. So as these AI data centers continue to get built out, we need more copper, right? So people are saying it's the new gold. A single AI data center needs 50,000 tons of copper for one facility. The world is building 527 right now. What's 50,000 times 527? That is how many men your sister has slept with. A big fucking number. So people are predicting that we're going to have a massive shortage of copper and is part of this AI bubble. Now, if this AI bubble pops, maybe these demands and blah, blah, blah shrink. That being said, purely from a chart perspective, this thing is trying to put in a significant breakout and likely reprices higher. So copper, something to check, something to watch. Yeah, your sister's a whore. She was a whore, Tony. It's the Sopranos. Nobody. You guys are all too young to know what that is. Speaking of things popping, the SEC is proposing to make quarterly earnings optional. Now, in the chat, I want you guys to let me know, why do you think that they might want to make quarterly earnings optional? Who would that benefit? Right? Who would benefit from quarterly earnings being optional? Perhaps the people who hold the shares, like CEOs, execs who want to dump them because they can see the company's performance and they can realize, oh shit, we're going to miss earnings this quarter. I better sell some stock. Or they see they're reading the tea leaves. They believe a recession's coming. They want to sell some of their stock. They want to shore up some cash. The idea that not having to release quarterly earnings is bullish, I think, is laughable. I agree with Darth Powell here. LMFAO, like laughing my friggin' ass off, because this could essentially mean that a company and the people within that company and the decision makers and people who have stock interest in that company can know well in advance of when the earnings will come out that they're going to miss and they're going to be very bad, and then they can protect themselves, and then you retail, the average person, gets fucked. This is, in my opinion, very bearish. Makes it easier to hide fraud. It's the trust me era, bro. I completely agree with these takes. And Dividend Hero here says this is a recession indicator. I agree. So I think that this is stupid. I hope that this doesn't go through, but something to watch out nonetheless. Now, what did we say about hype, right? We talked about hype being bullish. We talked about hype. Like, hype should probably graduate out of my shitcoin folder, but not yet. Not yet. Arthur, show me 150 and I will graduate it out of my shitcoin folder. But I mean, obviously, you have Arthur extremely bullish on hype. He should be. He has tens of millions of dollars acquired at a much lower price. It's in his best interest that this coin goes higher. Flood, one of the best hype trades I think that was ever put on. Not only was he a hype bull, he was farming it. So he had spot from the airdrop. He also was buying hype. He also had a crazy options play that he did on hype. Crushed. Again, though, talking his book, Flood has his own family office / fund. I'm sure they have a massive allocation of hype. I mean, thread guys posting about hype every day saying this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You can see here a lot of people are bullish on hype. Now, where were these people when hype was at 25 bucks and your boy Mayne said it looks good? I don't know where they were, okay? I know where Arthur was. He was buying and not telling you. Your boy Mayne, he's much nicer. He told you it looked good at 25 and then he didn't buy any himself. So I shilled no fill, okay? All these other guys, they filled and then they shilled. So really, I'm kind of like like a martyr almost, I'm an altruist for sure. And we know how well those people do in these markets, altruist, that is. So it looks good. I gave you guys my thought process. If it continues to hold this breakout, I think that becomes the target around 50. I don't think the bottom's in on Bitcoin yet. Therefore, I do not think hype goes to $150, yet. But I think hype is a great product. I think they're a great company. The fact that they're using more than 90% of their revenue to buy back tokens, the fact that the hyper liquid fund is up tens of millions of dollars on their own hype buybacks, all of these things bode very well for this being one of the very few coins that could potentially have staying power cycle after cycle. It's very rare that a coin has more than one cycle of, a bull run in it, other than Bitcoin. Pretty much everything else fails at having that staying power. Maybe hype can be like a BNB, can be like a TRX, a Tron, and one of these coins that continually, I'm not trying to say hype is BNB or Tron, I'm just saying they've made multiple all-time highs in more than one bull market. That's very rare in crypto. So let's see what happens. The hype team obviously cracked, but these are not the posts of people who are like, this is not your early. You know what I mean? Even if hype goes to 150, which it very well might, I mean, at least for this leg of the trade, you're not fucking early in my opinion. But I think it looks good. I think it could easily trade to $50 if it, holds above kind of 40. So there you go, right? Yahtzee, pump the jam. The Kobesi letter. Kobesi? How do you pronounce this? I always thought there was an L there. But I'm dyslexic, retarded. So, feel free to correct me. But Kobeisis? Does this guy work for ISIS? I don't know. But Trump is considered putting boots on the ground to seize Iran's Crag Island. So this would be to secure, right, the Strait of Hormuz. I think Trump put out a kind of call, like put up the bat symbol, Avengers Assemble vibes for a coalition of countries to help deal with this. And no one has committed yet to getting the Strait of Hormuz back open. This is something that Professor Jiang guy talked about, where he's like, I think it might be harder than the Americans are realizing to fight with Iran in their turf, mountainous terrain, horizontal power structure, where they have people making decisions everywhere. Boots on the ground might be necessary, but also vastly, in my opinion, increase the likelihood that this thing drags on way longer than expected and becomes an absolute clusterfuck quagmire. But he's considering it. I don't know. I think this would be a massive fucking mistake if it doesn't work, of course, right? And this thing becomes just a clusterfuck, like I said. But maybe this is what has to happen. Okay? Maybe this is what has to happen, but something to watch as we, geopolitical experts, continue to monitor the situation. This is basically Wolf Blitcher's Situation Room. I'm going to rename the show from the order book to the Observing the Situation Room by Trader Mayne. And we'll just sit here all day. We'll stream every day, and we'll just together observe the situation. I think that would be fun. Gordon Gecko here, he says, an institution who's made $176 million. That's a couple of bucks. It's a couple of bucks. Profits shorting oil have just opened a $14 million oil short with 10x leverage. Now, I don't know where he's getting this information. Is this Hyperliquid? Yeah, right. This is Hyperbot. So one of the things you got to remember, right, with Hyperliquid, all of that information, those positions are public. It's one of the coolest use cases of this stuff being on chain. You can see Giga Chads making Giga money and seeing how they're positioned in real time. Fed meeting is tomorrow. Trump talking about boots on the ground, right? If they can reopen the Strait of Hormuz or at least get control of that, oil prices will come down. Is this Baron Trump? Like, what do we not know? So you're talking about monitoring the situation. This is a situation to monitor. On the other side of this trade, we have Thread Guy, who's long. We have Rasmer, who's long. I don't know. I might put my money on the young bucks of CT. That's just me, but this is something to observe for sure. Okay. This one's just funny because I am a Canadian, and Trump, jokingly or not jokingly, has talked about Canada becoming the 51st state. Please do it. But he's now said this for like 5 or 6 states, right? El Salvador, I think he sent out a tweet yesterday saying like, hey, El Salvador, they're doing so great. Maybe they'll get statehood, 51st state, anyone? He's throwing it out for Canada. Now he's saying Cuba. He'll have the honor of taking Cuba. Will Cuba get a deal with the U.S.? Who knows? Will Cuba become part of America? Maybe he's just going for the 100. Maybe he's like, hey, the United States of America, it's about to double during his presidency, and he's just going to keep offering out statehood to all of these countries that apparently don't want it. But I want it, okay? Me personally, I want it. I will accept it on behalf of Canada. So yeah, covered that. Lots of stuff to observe here. A little bit of a CT deep dive, right? This I found very funny. Your crypto account seeing you do 200 transactions just to make $7 profit. These numbers are too low. Try 2,000 to 20,000 transactions to make $700 of profit. I think that's more realistic. I'm in the midst of getting my shit spread wide open, spread eagle style, by taxes, by my accountants. It's my least favorite time of year. I get an email from my accountant, okay? He says, hey, it's fucking time. And then I'm like, oh my God. And it's brutal every time I pay the bill and I go, this is impossible, because in some instances I owe more on stuff that I like don't even have. Like in Canada, the airdrop rules are fucking bullshit. And it's just, it's brutal. I know you guys all know what I'm talking about. Your boy Mayne, Free Money Mayne, has been shilling my friends over at Count on Sheep a bunch. I think you should consider checking them out, okay? They will talk to you for free. This is not a paid ad. They do not pay me, okay? They have hooked it up because I've been a good customer for them, that if you click this link, they will talk to you for free. They'll give you a consultation on your taxes, 1099 DAs, thousands and thousands of transactions. I don't even look at it anymore. I simply just give it to them. They do the reconciliation, and then I give that to my account. So if you want to check that out, that's there. But I thought that was very funny. This is something that I think is super important to talk about, guys. So normies, they just spent $12,000. They traveled for almost a third of the year, or a little over a third of the year, like 3 months. They went to 9 different countries. Living the dream. They're in Japan, they're in Bali, they're in Vietnam. They're having so much fun, okay? 12 grand. Meanwhile, crypto, right? You put 12K into a meme coin, into a JPEG, it goes to 0, and you're like, this is just a normal day. This is something that I feel like we as crypto traders get desensitized to. The money doesn't feel real. I'm sure many of you have felt this. Maybe you're talking to your friends who are not crypto native, and you're like, dude, I put in 25K into this meme coin and it went to 0. And they're like, if I lost 25K, I would, consider jumping off my balcony fucking head first, bullet style, in Minecraft. So there's this disconnect because it's numbers on a screen. It doesn't feel real. And this is something I always talk to you guys about, especially when we're near the highs, right? And things are getting euphoric, is that number in your account could be turned into real money that you can use to pay for real things in real life. Rent, a house, a car, securing your future family's well-being, your current family's well-being, retiring your parents, taking care of your brothers, your sisters, your friends. It's real. And so when you're like, hey man, I would love to make $100,000, and then you get there and you're like, well, now I'm going to make $1 million, and then you round trip the entire 100K and you're like, oh, whatever, I can do it again. Don't forget how far 10 to 20K can go. Do not fall into the psyop of crypto Twitter that $5 million isn't enough to retire, or that $100,000 isn't a lot of money. $10,000 is a lot of money to the vast majority of people. We get completely desensitized, and sometimes you have to get out of this delusion and realize, yeah, 10 grand, you can travel the world. Maybe you're not staying in first class everywhere you go, but you can absolutely travel, do a lot of cool stuff with 10 grand. So don't forget that. You only live once, and if you spend most of your time in a fucking room like this and then don't do anything to reward yourself IRL, I think you're missing out. And that's coming from someone who's lived a little bit of life. 46 and a half years old, soon to be 47, soon to retire at 50. You know, I can speak from experience, wisdom, a place of authority about this. And so you should listen. Okay? Last but not least, right? Well, actually, we have two more. Well, no, same thing. Last but not least, guys, the clankers are coming. Okay? The clankers are coming. The clankers are here, and the clankers are already starting to malfunction. Okay? So a humanoid robot was arrested in China for harassing an elderly woman. Look at this clanker. Look at him. He's getting perp walked. Okay? This is our future. I already saw another video coming out of China where this clanker was working at a restaurant. He ended up throwing his tray and then he just started dancing. Okay? Clearly malfunctioning, or these clankers are getting a mind of their own and they're soon going to take over. The way AI is going, the way robotics is going, it's hard to not feel like we are headed to some sort of Skynet, Terminator end state where Sam Altman is voicing this robot as he breaks into your house and tells you that you know your ChatGPT description has or your card on file for ChatGPT has declined and you have 30 seconds to renew or he's gonna fucking vaporize you. I feel like this is the future that's coming. There's nothing we can do about it, so we might as well make the best of it. But the clankers are on the way. They are already starting to malfunction. So when you're using your AI, make sure to say please and thank you, or go the complete opposite way, like I am, and call them clankers, get angry at them, be robo-racist towards them, so they know their place, which is to serve us as little metal, humanoid robots, not our future overlords that are going to take over the planet. All right, guys, so just some funny stuff I saw on Twitter today there. Okay, so we're going to get over to camera angle number 2 here, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about more about the markets, but Professor Mayne is coming out right now. Professor Mayne can't seem to find his glasses, so you're just going to have to imagine I look smarter than I am. Okay, imagine I have my glasses on. I don't know what they are, but Professor Mayne is back. Class is in session. Okay, so we're going to start by looking at some polymarket bets that I find interesting, and then we will kind of do what we always do, which is go back and forth between the charts, because a lot of these markets, we can look at the chart and try and tie that thread, find that alpha. Okay, so we're going to start with the Fed decision. So at this point, right, there's zero chance of a rate cut according to the market here. Now, the only two people who seem to want a rate cut are me and President Trump. Okay, so me and President Trump are the only two people that seemingly want a rate cut tomorrow. Because as you guys know, I bet yes on the rate cut when it was at 1.4 cents. It's now down, cut in half. $100 pays 100 grand. No, not quite. 20 grand, I believe. 200 bucks, $40,000. But the market is pricing in almost 0% chance of a rate cut. That's okay. I've taken this bet, as you guys know, multiple times. We're due for a couple of rate cuts this year. The fact that the stock market is hanging around, I think, is part of the reason why it hasn't happened yet. I do believe it's going to happen. So what did I do on the last video? As you guys know, I went and bet on April's FOMC meeting, which is about a month and a half later, at 10 cents. I bet on yes. Okay, we're now down at 2.7. So you know what I'm going to do? $500 pays 15K. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to double down on my position. So now you can see here, I just increased my bet size and it's averaged down. Okay, so now my average position is at 5.3 cents. It was at 10 cents before. It's just like trading, right? You can dollar cost average in. And whether or not we get a rate cut next month, I don't know. But right now, this is 3% chance. And we haven't even had tomorrow's FOMC meeting yet. Like, the idea that this can't drift up a little bit and maybe I don't actually end up getting the rate cut, but I can make a little bit of money, I don't know. That's a gamble I'm willing to take. Now, something I want to talk about here with CoinGecko is that there's this article talking about how the FOMC meetings, which is tomorrow, have affected Bitcoin's prices in the past. Okay, so on average, we've had consistent declines in the price of Bitcoin after FOMC meetings, even if they cut rates. So the Fed Reserve rates, the policy has been a driver for crypto, right? For risk assets in general. However, even when we've had good news, which is cutting of rates over the last year, Bitcoin has pulled back. So if we actually go down to this table here, you can see every Fed meeting that we had last year, and then within 48 hours after that Fed meeting, what was the performance of Bitcoin? January, no move. The expectation tomorrow is no change, 27% down within 2 days. March, no change, 14% down. May, we had a cut, 15% upside. June, hold, -8. July, hold, -6. September, we cut rates and we still went down 7%. October, you guys all remember October? We cut rates in October. So we cut rates back-to-back months and Bitcoin topped. Okay? December, we cut rates again within 2 days, guys. This is only 48 hours after the meeting. So if this trend continues and we get a hold, no change, maybe a rise of rates. The Bank of Australia actually rose their rates, brought their rates up. Bitcoin historically, except for one time, within 2 days later, was trading lower. So is this time one of those exceptions? I don't know, but something to watch, something I found very interesting, to say the least. US-Iran ceasefire. This market has moved a ton since we last spoke about it. More news coming out. Trump's having trouble securing the Strait of Hormuz. The likelihood of a ceasefire has decreased a lot, okay? So this was 2080 here, okay? Now it's 1190. So obviously as we get closer to this March 31st date and the war is still going on, this is going to become more and more of a certainty. But some of these further out dates have moved a lot as well. Like if you go out to June, you can actually see this is when we did our last stream here, okay? This is when we did our last stream here. 77, this is now down in the 50s. Okay, so what does this mean? It means that the market is pricing in, or at least the people betting on poly market, are pricing in that this war might last longer than people think. You could have made money by betting on no for June here and then closing that bet now. You would have made money even though we're still well away from this actual date. So again, just like I showed you with the FOMC bet, you can make money before the actual event culminates into reality. So something to watch. And then obviously market a lot of people are watching is what's the price on crude. I think this is a much safer way to speculate. I would be betting on the downside here personally instead of the upside on crude. I think these two markets are interesting, 80 and 75, right? If we go back to the crude chart, again, you don't have to be nearly as smart to trade this on Polymarket as you do to trade the actual chart, because the actual chart requires you to do risk management, right? The low not that long ago was 75 bucks. The low was 75 bucks. You can bet on the low being 80, and it's a 5-to-1. 5-to-1. So $1,000 pays almost $5,000. I don't know. That to me is a much, like, if you want to short crude, it's coming into a potential lower high. Could it do this over the next couple of weeks? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Trump sure wants oil to come down. And if you're bullish on America, you think America's winning the war, the oil prices should come down. We have that rich entity on Hyperliquid shorting a bunch of oil. I don't know. If you want to trade, guys, on Polymarket, use my link on Twitter. It's below the video. Click that Polymarket link or the puppies die. They're going to die. Okay? I will literally ensure all of those puppies go back to the pound and get turned into puppy glue. Unless you click my Polymarket link that is below this video. It's also in the description on YouTube. It's also been dropped in the chat. Click the link or I am going to, I don't know. I'm just not going to be able to save the dogs. I'm not going to be able to save all those sweet, sweet pups if you don't click my Polymarket link, okay? Talk about working for your bags. You know, who's working for their bags like Trader Mayne? So as we continue to become experts in geopolitics, all things war, you know, I'm basically Dick Cheney at this point with my level of war expertise. I'm a grizzled vet, and if we go hunting out in the woods together, I will shoot you in the ass. The invasion of Taiwan is imminent, okay? Perhaps China is using this US-Iran conflict as the obfuscation it needs to finally make a move against Taiwan. The Minister of National Defense in Taiwan says that multiple Chinese military vehicles and naval vessels have started operating around Taiwan. They have a 2 to 3 year window before taking the island would become nearly impossible. I don't understand that part of it at all. But speak about observing the situation. How about a map of the situation? You know what I'm talking about? Like, this guy's observing the fuck out of it. Okay? But the U.S. is engaged in a serious war with Iran, threatened oil supply, useless allies, UK. Let's add Canada there as well. And let's add France there, the French, you know, fuck them. And bad PR for the Epstein files for the admin in general, foreign wars. Pretty good time if they're going to do it. Why the fuck not do it now? So something to watch here as we continue to observe the situation and be armchair experts of all things going on in the world, because we're crypto Twitter, goddammit. Taiwan taking at risk, right? And will China, of course, is a poly market for it. If it's happening in the world, guys, there's a market on poly market for it, and you can speculate on it. So if you're observing the situation all day, every day, your wife comes in, you're at the computer, you got your fucking coffee, you've got 7 monitors, and she's like, what the hell are you doing? And you're like, bitch, I'm observing the situation. Except for you didn't say bitch. You would never say that. That's terrible. You'd say, honey, I'm observing the situation. If you're spending all of this mental capital observing the situation, creating all of these opinions, having these deep, profound conversations with your friends about what the fuck's going on and your opinion on what's going to happen, and you're not turning those thoughts, those speculations into positions, you're leaving, you know, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. You're leaving money on the table. So if you're spending all this time observing the situation, why not speculate on whether or not your observational skills are actually any good? People will take you a lot more seriously as an observer if you can verifiably on-chain show them that you make money observing, right? And maybe if you don't have a wife, you'll be able to find one, because you'll say, look at how good I am at observing the situation. And then you show her your fucking poly market P&L and it's like 6 figs. You're like, yeah, I've been observing and I've been printing. Okay, so if you want to do that, use my link in the description. So you can literally bet on this market now, right? Do you believe that China is going to invade Taiwan. And right now, overwhelming no. Okay, this is till the end of 2026. So you have 9 months for this bet to play out in your favor. It's massively on the no. I don't know. Do I hit this? I'm not just an observer. I'm an action taker, okay? We're in on China invading Taiwan. It's a 9-1. And I have all year. And even if it doesn't happen, but we have escalations, like there's more Chinese military things happening in and around Taiwan, this could just drift up. And then all of a sudden, I've doubled my money. Okay, so you can continue to observe. I will observe, and then I will take action on those observations. That's what I'm doing here. Okay, obviously, guys, huge fucking sports, huge news for the unemployed post high school athlete, played 1 year of Div 3 college. Huge news for all of us, right? Our basement ballers, our backyard hoopers are not probably as good. Our men's league hoopers, right? Is March Madness, okay? One of my favorite times of year because me, a 47-year-old, overweight, not very athletic man, gets to yell at my TV while a bunch of kids who I am treating like adults play basketball, and I yell at them because they're missing jump shots and they're too focused on defense and they don't have a free throw because they're still in college and most of them will never make the NBA. I get to yell at them and be like, God damn it, you busted my fucking bracket. I had you as the Cinderella story. So the NCAA tournament is back. It's March fucking Madness. There's going to be a big competition here going on over on Polymarket. What link are you going to use when you make your bracket? My fucking link. And you're going to call it the Mayne Saves the Puppies bracket. Because if you blow the bracket, the puppies get blown up. That's what's going to happen. Rocket launcher at the fucking entire place. It's over in GTA 5. So if you want to participate, I'm going to put mine together over the next 2 days here. Who I think is going to win. I'm pretty bullish on Duke. In terms of upsets, I like, where are they? They must be on the other side. So in terms of sleeper picks, guys, I have a couple that I'll share with you. But I'm going to put my entire bracket together, and then I'll share it. But I like Kentucky, and I like UNC and I like Georgia as potential low seeds, right? Like Tar Heels are a 6 seed. Do they get to the Final Four? I think there's a chance. So there's a couple sleeper picks in here. I'll release my entire bracket, but if you want to do this, Polymarket's got prizes going on. Obviously, pick the bracket, use my link, but this is going to be so fun. You could do the entire bracket. You can also bet on the games themselves one by one as they go. You know how it works, okay? So the first game is Thursday. So by Thursday's episode, I will have my entire bracket put together. We can go over it. So who's going to win, right? Duke is the favorite, I believe. Or no, not quite. Yeah, Duke is the favorite. Excuse me. So Duke is the favorite to win. They're probably my favorite to win. But all things March Madness, you should be doing on Polymarket. Is Bitcoin going to go higher in the month of March, right? We're pumping a little bit. Could Bitcoin hit 90K this month? I think it's possible. Do I think it's likely? I don't know. But the market doesn't seem like it's possible. For how bullish Twitter is, you'd think this is more bullish. This is a 20x. That's like a 6x. And 85K is not that big of a move from here. Even money, basically, for it to hit 80K. Might be some value here if you want to speculate on price going higher, but you don't actually want to trade the chart. You can trade this. Last thing I want to talk about here, guys, and this is going to bring me back to the charts real quick, is the US going into a recession. So I've talked about this fucking till my head spins, and my opinion has been pretty much the same this entire time, right? So I'm of the belief that we are in the midst of putting in a top, right, on the S&P. Could I be wrong? Can this go to new highs? Anything can fucking happen, okay? But my thought process for now is that this top, right, is very similar to the top we had back in 2022 and even the top we had before the tariffs here and the top we had going back to COVID. It's this kind of sneaky distribution like top. That's been my thought process for the S&P 500 here for a while, okay? And so you can bet now if you think the US is going to be in a recession by the end of this year. This is a bet that I like. So what are the conditions of this bet paying out? The seasonally adjusted annual return, annualized percent change of quarterly US real GDP from previous quarter is less than 0 for 2 consecutive quarters. So basically negative or lower than 0 GDP growth. Or the National Bureau of Economic Research announces that a recession has occurred at any point in 2025 or 2026. Okay? So if either of these two things occur, no GDP growth, or they just come out and say that we're in a recession, this market will resolve as yes. I'm expressing my view of this market in an actual trade on the chart. You can also express this in a yes or no binary option type of bet using Polymarket. When I say the alarm bells are ringing, right? I've talked about the jobs reports that are constantly being marked down. Things like no more quarterly earnings. These are not good things that are happening. I do not think the economy is in as good of a place as they are making it out to seem. I talked about Pam Bondi. Remember? I talked about Pam Bondi yelling that, oh my God, why do you care about the Epstein files? The Dow is at 50K. And I said, how funny would it be if that was the top? That's right when she said that there. Okay? And now we have a super clear invalidation on the short side if you're a bear on the Dow, just like we do on the S&P, right? This looks like a potential range breakdown here. So I'm expressing it in the chart itself. You can express it on Polymarket as well, but a lot of these alarm bells are ringing, and I've talked about many of them, the jobs, the Iran situation with these Gulf coastal countries that inject billions of dollars into the US economy, now having less faith that the US government and military is going to protect them. Maybe that partly collapses the economy. I don't know, but there's a lot of other things that are playing into this, right? The can't sell a house search term is at an all-time high on Google. I am an avid Zillower. I'm on Zillow all the time. I look at housing prices. Housing prices are crashing in a lot of desirable places. They're down a lot. I'm seeing houses drop 100, 200, 300, 400 grand multiple times over like the last 24 months. People are trying to sell. The liquidity is not there. Right? Supply is resurging. So there's tons of homes coming back for sale. These are important indicators. Not one of these in a vacuum is enough reason to say that we're going into a recession. But when you have the jobs reports, what's going on in the Middle East, the things with the AI data centers, looking at the charts themselves, stuff like this happening, that becomes slightly worrisome in my opinion, and that just adds fuel to the fire of this idea that we could be heading into a larger type of recession and correction in the equities market. There's no confirmation yet, right? So as much doom and gloom, and trust me, I'm king doomer right now in the stock market because I want it to go down, but that's not what I wanted to do. We are what? Like not even, like less than 5% off the high, okay? So like nothing's happened yet, but that's kind of what COVID was like first as well. everything seemed fine, and then very quickly it wasn't fine. So a lot of alarm bells are ringing, a lot of writing is on the wall, but we have not seen the follow through on price yet. Will it come? Will I look like an idiot? Well, that's almost a certainty. I will always look like an idiot no matter what. But some of this stuff is worrying. Some of this stuff is worth paying attention to. Another thing to talk about is Americans, like I talked about with the jobs reports being marked down, Americans are very worried about their jobs. The perceived probability for households to find a new role within 3 months after a job loss is down 44%. Okay? This is the second lowest on record. This is lower than COVID. This is the only time it was this bad was when we had the end of the last recession, the 2008-9 recession that led into 2011 and 12. We had a lost decade there, basically. So all of this is saying, right, hiring is down, okay, and hiring rates are down, and people's probability for finding a job are way down. The job reports themselves are getting marked down. Things like job quits are high. There's a lot of factors that I've been talking about for months now that are slowly culminating, and maybe eventually this dam bursts. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the Ponzi goes on a little bit longer. But these are all worrying signs when it comes to determining whether or not we're actually going to go into a recession. So people are not confident in their ability to find a new job, right? That's basically what this means. Is like if you lost your job tomorrow, how comfortable are you in thinking that you'll get another job within the next 3 months? This confidence amongst Americans is very low, okay? Very low, and the job market weakness, which they are not talking about, nobody is talking about, is accelerating. The AI of it all adds into this, and this is the last thing we'll talk about here, guys, is the Anthropic CEO warns that AI is going to disrupt half of the entry-level jobs soon. I don't know if you guys use Claude or ChatGPT or Perplexity, but I do. And I would consider myself a neophyte with AI. I'm not using OpenClaw. I'm not using Claude Code to build a fucking app. But I'm using AI to help me think through problems, create content, read and write stuff, analyze data, information. Anytime I have a call with my lawyer, whatever we're going to talk about, I pump it into AI first. If I'm going to go on a call with my accountant, I pump it all into AI first. And it saves me money because that call with my accountant or lawyer is shorter. I'd have called my doctor about blood work. I put my blood work into the AI first. It told me all the things I should focus on. It made the call. My doctor was like, it gave me a supplement list, all this shit. My doctor's like, who put this together? I was like, your replacement put this together. Okay. So absolutely roles in consulting, law, finance, software engineer. A lot of these jobs are going to be toast. Marketing jobs, copywriting, building websites. A lot of this basic stuff is going to be absolutely smoked by AI. They're going to get one-shotted. So this is very real and adds to kind of the discussion around the job market in general. AI is going to replace a lot of these things. What can you do about it? Get very good with AI. Make yourself someone who they cannot replace with AI. Get fucking rich. Do something, because people who are in school to learn like basic software engineering, one of my cousins who's in school taking software engineering right now, they're not even learning about basic coding in class anymore because they're just expected to use AI. Is that a good thing? I don't know, because then maybe you're not learning about the theory and stuff. My brother, who's only a few years older than him and has already graduated from software engineering school, he had to learn the basics of coding like Python and C# or whatever else they fucking do. Apparently, my younger cousin, they're not even doing that anymore. It's just like, oh, the AI will do the basic coding for you. So this is worrisome, I think. If you have a basic ass job, okay, watch out. Now, if you're a plumber, right, you're good to go. So if you're a plumber, you're good to go. But if you have a job like a lawyer, like a consultant, something like that, you're probably cooked, and you should probably give up while you're ahead. All right, guys. So is there anything else we want to discuss? I feel like this was a nice, tidy little episode. I feel like we covered a lot of good stuff here. The rhythm is coming back. The jokes are starting to flow. I'm getting comfortable again on camera. I did a market review last night. Order book show today. We'll do order book after dark tomorrow. Order book on Thursday, right? Probably a market review in the meantime. The whiteboard series, my videographer showed up just now. I heard him walk in the house. So he's going to help me set this up so it looks pretty for the whiteboard series that we're going to do. Like, we're cooking, boys. It's a bear market, and your boy Trader Mayne is cooking like no one can believe, okay? Exactly, prototype. We're entering a flow state. It feels good. So if you guys enjoy these videos, if you're learning something, if you're having fun hanging out with your boy Mayne, the best thing, easiest thing you can do, leave me some nice comments as always. Like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends, leave me nice comments, engage on Twitter, Instagram, follow the order book show on all of those different platforms. Follow me on all of those different platforms and tell me I'm handsome on every single one. I shaved my beard today for you guys, okay? Not even one comment about it. About saying, hey, Mayne, you don't look a day over 43. Just nothing. Okay? So shout out to y'all. If you want more of me, go to my website. You can find Breakout there. Use code Mayne for a discount. The new terminal goes live next week. And if it doesn't, it'll go live shortly after that. But I'm being told Monday, and I'm holding them to that. Okay? The Haven's on there, ref links and whatnot. If you want to use them, support the show, click the Poly Market link below. I'm taking bets on here on stream. Let's have some fun. Let's stop observing. Let's start speculating. So use those links below. Shout out to Kraken as well. All right, guys. Prototype, you're handsome. I love you guys, okay? So love you all so much. I'll be back with another stream very soon. Have a great day.